Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, The Infinity Midwife, once again coming at you. Hope all of you are doing fine, doing great with this beautiful sunshine outside, I'm coming at you with another video, and this time we're gonna go a little deeper into the type of craziness or into the type of attachments that I've been holding on that made me realize that I was really in a dark place. So as I shared with you guys in the last video, I was in a toxic, abusive relationship with the father of my children for a good 8 years. Now the things that were not clear at the very beginning. First of all, I want to share this. There's a lot of red flags that I totally dismissed or overlooked. One of them was how easy it was for the person to downgrade me right away, whether I was making jokes, because I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm a sensual person, I'm a sexual person, and immediately in the first few weeks of dating, this person did not like for me to be sexual or to share some sexual thoughts or ideas or to show how sexual I was or sensual I was. That I immediately felt that in the first few weeks of us dating. We actually did break up in the first few weeks because, again, I had made this joke, and the joke was perceived as really disrespectful to that person, and so that was one major red flag that I overlooked. There were also other red flags about how this person wanted me to look on the external. They wanted me to share, they wanted me to cover a lot. They wanted me to, not show. Je suis occupée, les gars. Je suis en train de faire une vidéo. Donc, quelqu'un va voir qu'est-ce qu'il a besoin, s'il te plaît, va l'aider. So a lot of things that, was very much red flags for me, I overlooked because, again, I was coming from a place of lack and unworthiness. So, it was important for me to be validated to this person. So whatever that person would share with me, because, there was this big age gap. And so I felt like this person had much more wisdom than I. This person had much more life experiences than I. So I felt very easily pushed into not listening to my own intuition, but to look at whatever that person was sharing with me or was telling me the truth was, So I always felt that my perspective was irrelevant compared to theirs. So whatever, when that person would say, you need to show less of skin, I would do that. If that person was saying, you need to control your eyes more because, one of their ways of manipulating me was through this perception that I was devious, that I was promiscuous, that I was a down low hoe, or a down low person that was heavily sexual and that was heavily deviant. So that person had to je suis occupée, had to plant those seeds within me, and I've allowed that. I've allowed it because, again, I was coming from a place of hurt, a place of wounding, and because I was not fully healed, right? I was partially tapping. I was not whole within my own self. And so when I got with this person that person saw right through me. That first, I was very vulnerable. I was coming from a place of hurt. I needed reassurance, validation. I was how do you say that? Fragmented. I was not whole, so I was fragmented because I was, again, trying to prove myself. I was wearing this mask, and so I was not whole. And when you're not whole, when you're fragmented, when you are not fully being accountable to all the parts of yourself, what end up happening is, if you are in a relationship with someone that wants control, that wants power over you, they're going to know these things. They have a flair, especially narcissistic people or narcissists. They have a flair for people who are still wounding, still, haven't had the consciousness to be fully accountable. So, like, I'm speaking bluntly here about my own experience. I had a lot of how do you say that, difficulty in being accountable for my own shadow, because, again, coming from a place of wounding, coming from a place of trauma, I did not want to look at that part of myself. And so that's why I was really fragmented. I was fragmented because I did only want to show the world that part of me that was good, that was serviceable, that was humble, that was helpful. But I was not taking accountability for that part of me that was wounded, that part of me that was sensual, that part of me that was sexual, that part of me. So all my shadow, I kept it hidden, right? And by keeping it hidden and by not taking accountability for it, I was living half of my identity. I was exploring and I was sharing half of my identity to the world. And the person that I came into relationship with, they saw straight through me. They saw that I was wounding, that I was hurting. And so they started planting seeds into where, because, again, that person was good at projecting, and that person was a narcissist. And so when they saw through me, they saw that I had unhealed wounding that laid deep in my shadow. And so they started tapping into manipulating my shadow self, my shadow aspect of myself. So when you are dealing with narcissists and they have that capability of having to manipulate and control, not the seen part of yourself, not the one that you are showing to the world, but tapping into your subconscious, tapping into your shadow self. That's like another layer that if you are not aware of, if you're not aware of your own shadow, those people are going to come in and they are going to project whatever it is that they want to project into your shadow. And because I was in the space of wanting to heal my own shadow, wanting to heal my own self, get into a space of, being accountable, I started believing everything that person was saying about my own shadow. Cam, tu peux aller voir qu'est-ce que Sambo fait? On dirait qu'il est en train de boire de l'eau. Regarde. Tu peux aller voir et lui dire de ne pas boire, s'il te plaît? So,
il regarde dans l'égout.
Ne regarde pas, Sambo. So being the way that it was, I felt that person was a big manipulator. That person was a big, heavy manipulator, and with their gift of, planting seeds, manipulating the truth, projecting their own shadow onto mine, that brought me to question my own self, questioning, what was actually in my shadow. Was it really mine, or was there something that was manipulated? Let me tell you something, y'all. It came to the point where that person projecting their own shadow onto mine, because I had not done the work of healing my own shadow or looking at that own shadow that was mine, that person was able to plant seeds into my own subconscious mind that my shadow was bigger than what it was, that my shadow was filled with things that were not mine. That person had succeeded in planting not only in my subconscious mind that my shadow was bigger than what it was, but that person succeeded into planting false memories, making me vulnerable to sex exploitation. That person manipulated my own shadow to the point where I was questioning whether or not I had this this identity disorder. That person like went all the way to even having people play out this masquerade to where I would feel terrorized at night. Looky here now. This is something that, I needed to talk about, but I have not, because again, it was troubling me. But I've come to terms with it because I know what my truth is. The person that I was with would leave every night. Okay. I heavily believe that that person did some magic, some dark magic, in order to have me believe into certain things, or have me being into certain type of hypnosis, or even some form of MK Ultra, whatever, conditioning. Because it came to a point where we were living in this building, and there were some neighbors with who I feel that they were connected, that they were actually working together against me. Because again, the person that I was with would always make sure to leave me in certain situations at night. Like that person would plot against me, but it would be done in a way that I would have never ever imagined that they would. That person would scheme and would team up with those neighbors upstairs. They would have planned this together of terrorizing me into the night so that I would be even more vulnerable to the point of me being sexually exploited. It's really like messed up to say, but that person was behind it. That person was behind that person planted seeds into my subconscious that I was sleeping with family members, that I was heavily sexual because my shadow was that big. That person wanted me to see things about myself that was never true. And it did affect me heavily for a good while. Like, especially in those last 2 years, I was not able to differentiate what was mine and what was not mine, what was of my doing and what was not of my doing. And I almost lost my mind. I almost lost my mind, my identity, my existence. I almost felt to the point where I didn't know whether or not I was living or I was merely, was I truly living my truth, or was I being a puppet to a master? Like, it was that serious. It was that serious to a point where that person even tried to discredit me, to discredit me in front of the law. so that I would be put in a mental hospital or mental hospice, and that person would have had the right to leave with my children. Basically, that person tried, like I said, they tried in front of police officers, in front of authority, in front of the law. That person tried to discredit me from being. Chérie, je parle. Tu peux aller jouer, s'il te plaît?
Tu te parles à qui?
Je parle. Est-ce que tu peux y aller?
Tu te parles à qui?
Je vais te parler après, ok? Vas-y, chérie. So that person really tried to discredit me to the point of me losing my sanity. Il est en arrière. Va le voir en arrière. Of me losing my sanity, but more so me losing touch with reality to the point where I would be labeled crazy and put in a mental hospice. And so, had I not had my ancestors, had I not done the work, because I did some shadow work, and I'm still doing some, had I not done the work, that person would have succeeded into completely destroying my very essence. And so that is why the message today is, people, look into your own shadow. Sit with your shadow. I have a workshop that I will be putting up out there soon, which is how I dealt with my own shadow. It's not something that everyone wants to look at, but when you do, you will feel more empowered as to the aspect of yourself that you are fearing to look at. But more so, you're going to be able to heal those places within yourself that you're fearful to look at, the places of yourself that that you feel you need to hide from the rest of the world. But guys, this is so very important, because I was not willing to look at my own shadow. I gave my power away to someone that was willing to destroy my identity through my shadow. So to me, abandoning my shadow to that person was going to succeed into destroying me completely had I not start looking at my own shadow. And what is your shadow? Your shadow is usually things that you try to hide from the rest of the world, because the rest of the world makes you feel or makes you believe that your shadow is something to be afraid of, is something disgusting, is something that is not meant to be seen, is something to be kept in secrets. And so I had a lot of secrets in my shadow. I put a lot of stuff in my shadow because I was coming from a place of unworthiness. And when you're coming from a place of unworthiness, you absolutely don't want to show the shadow aspect of yourself to the world, right? Because you might lose affection, you might lose validation, you might lose how people look at you and how you are being validated through the world. So I had to deal with it. And once I started dealing with it, I was no longer coming from a place of being fragmented. I slowly started to become whole again. And when I became whole again, I was no longer in a space where I was going to allow that person to play me. And when I stepped into that space of empowerment, that's when I started seeing clearly who that person was. And then I made a choice. I made a choice to completely break free from that illusion, because that person was an illusionist. That person was a narcissist, an illusionist, a manipulator. And unfortunately, I don't want to say this, but there's a lot of manipulators out there. power hungry, mongering narcissists out there who will use religion, who will use spirituality, who will use ancestral knowledge, who will use science, who will use things, structures, dogmas, in order to manipulate others or in order to gain more power, but in a very in a way that is very detrimental to the rest of humanity. And so that's why we're really stepping out of that space. But we need to be speaking up on those type of people, those type of relationships. And how we can do that? By first analyzing ourselves, by first claiming all our power back, by identifying where are we giving away our powers, just like I did with my shadow. That's it, you guys. That's all I had for today. Hopefully y'all stay tuned and I say peace.